Randy, you asked us what is it that we gleaned from the session that we heard so far. And unfortunately, as you saw me come in and out, because we are in session right now, we are reappointing our judges, and some of them are extremely controversial. So we want to listen to the debate and obviously make the right decision, the green or the red button. So that's why we're running back and forth. But in the part that I was here, I was fascinated by two things. One is the antiseptic model that was just talked about. In fact, I was just talking to Representative O'Day, who was also here for a brief moment, and I believe he's already calling other people and saying, hey, did you hear about this? And how we could make our environment, less infected, and to see that the counts could go down significantly makes a huge difference. And as you know, Mark, as you know, I'm an allergist, and so for me, mold reduction, we have no choice at all at this particular point in time. So when our patients come and tell us, what can we do for dust mite prevention? We can say 1, 2, 3 things. We have some choices for them. But when they come to say, hey, we need to reduce mold, I just shrug my shoulders and say, well, mold is everywhere, and there's not a whole lot we can do. But now, after hearing what we did, we have that opportunity maybe to be able to not only in a hospital setting, which of course is important, but equally important in other settings, in home as well, that we'll be able to address the mold issue, reduce the load significantly, and see the positive impact on asthma and other chronic conditions. We talked about, when you come into a doctor's office, as you said, and as we heard the last speaker for the morning talk about the conventional way that we treat our patients, and then, we tell them a little bit about exercise, a little bit of their diet, but not a whole lot, not a whole lot. And I think the take-home message for all of us, providers, is to pay importance to that component of our healthcare in that prevention where the difference will happen. Being in this building is very helpful. As my good colleague, Senator Fasano, will tell you, we go up and down the stairs so many times that at the end of the day, I'm not so sure we need to go to the gym. On the day we are in session, we hardly eat. And
get a stress test.
all the time. So, but exercise, the importance of exercise cannot be stressed enough, as was appropriately stressed, and also as far as what we need to do from a diet point of view. And finally, to just talk about where we are in legislation as far in 2017, 2018, looking forward to this session, is we need to address our healthcare issues. We need to make sure that quality care is given, quality of care is not compromised in any way at all, and how do we deliver quality care on the one hand, and at the same time, make sure that the balance is there as far as the cost of delivering the care. And as Jen, you talked about new models, innovative models by which we're able to do this, not this fee for service, not the copay model. What are the other models we need to look at? And for me, it is extremely important that we retain our healthcare providers. We do not see that happen. We have these phenomenal, medical schools in our state, 2 beautiful schools. The third one is going to be graduating the students pretty soon. So you've got 3 medical schools here, and at the end of the day, consistently, our physicians are leaving our state and not staying back. So it is important for us, it is critical that we create an environment that we are able to retain our providers. And one of the things we need to look at, not in bits and pieces, but the entire malpractice tort reform is something I think we need to look at in this session. So we are looking at what is it that we need to do so that we do right as far as the patient is concerned, and at the same time do right as far as the provider is concerned. So these are some of the challenges that we're going to face in this session. And needless to say, of course, we have tons of money here in Connecticut that we do not have to worry about how much these things are all going to cost us. That's the least of our worries. Obviously, the budgetary issues are going to play a significant role for us here. And then, of course, we'll have to go down to see in Washington, D.C. as to what's going to happen on the national scene, what's going to happen to the Affordable Care Act, and how it will impact us here in our state. So those are some of the things we are watching, we are monitoring, so that we continue to deliver better services in a far more effective way. As I look at it, I would probably see it in two parts. You know, the individual legislation that we've all introduced over which covers different areas, that probably will address some of the important preventative steps we need to take. You know, we are addressing childhood obesity. So when we look at childhood obesity, which once again I know is already been a part of what legislation has been introduced for 2017. So when we look at childhood obesity, all of what you mentioned in terms of the activity, in terms of the diet, in terms of all of that is all a part of that particular study. So I think that legislation is there, and hopefully it'll move forward in this session. We have legislation for T21, Tobacco 21, as we call it, the T21 bill. Once again, knowing the risks and knowing the hazards of smoking, and obviously we are all well aware of that, and extending the age from 18 to where it is right now to 21, that's a big push. You know, we started that. I kind of played a lead role in last session, and as we all know, the first time around, it gains some amount of traction, but not a whole lot. But this time around, I've already got a lot of people requesting to be co-sponsors on the bill and to be a part of that active conversation. So which is an example, once again, where on individual bill level, you know, what the legislators are able to introduce will make a change, number one, assuming that it moves forward. But what you're talking about is more on a collective basis, where all the interested parties, all of them come at a table, something, I mean, similar to a scope review. But the scope review here is preventative health. And who are all the players, and probably that might be a conversation we may have to take with DPH and see if they would be, because ideally they are the right person to do that, the right agency to do that. And so through DPH, on the one hand, and involving obviously education, needless to say, they're an integral part of that. So when we combine the two, maybe we might be able to get all the stakeholders at the table and then come up with just not a Band-Aid approach by saying, let's do this and let's do that, but in a more comprehensive way. So I think we have to look at it as an overview and see what could be done, if not now, but still there is time, because we can still do committee bills. You know, what we cannot do anymore is introduce any bills on our own. The deadline for that is over. It was past Saturday, it was past Friday the 13th, but in the committee bills are something that we may need to work with, and since I'm ranking on public health, I could, facilitate that and, have a conversation with my chairs and my co-chairs and see what we can do about that.